All right, artists. So we're back here to talk about paper weaving today. So let's go over the supplies you're going to need. So first things first, you're going to need a piece of mat board, which has been provided to you. Doesn't matter what color it is. You need a pencil. You need a pen. You need this funny looking thing called the T-square. And then you need your 2 photos that have been printed for you. Now yours are going to be on cardstock. I'm on cheap kind of paper here. But you need to make sure that they're both the same format. So whether they're both going vertical, up and down, or side to side, it doesn't matter, but they need to be the same, okay? So then the first thing you're going to do before you start weaving is you need to cut off the white excess, okay? And you need to do a really good job. Take your time. You want to make sure your edges are nice and clean as you can. So this isn't a race. You're going to want to cut those out of the white. All right. Now we're ready to start using these instruments here to get ready to prep for our weaving. For the first step, what you want to do is you want to pick whichever one is going to be your warp and which one's going to be your weft. Warp means it's going to go up and down. Weft means it's going side to side, and it honestly does not matter which one you use. I'm going to say that this one is going to be my weft because that's the one you're going to start with, or sorry, your warp. That's what you're going to start with first. That's the ones going up and down, and then we'll do the weft. Okay. So if you look at your clothing that you have, if you are wearing anything that's linen and not a sweater, you'll notice if you look closely. Basically what it is you have lines that are going in a grid pattern. So you have lines that are going up or threads that are going up, and you have threads that are going down and across. That's pretty much essentially how weavings are done. Now there's a variety of different ways that you can do them, and when you start your weaving process, you can elect to be pretty basic about it, doing a basic grid, which is over under pattern, which is what this one is like, or you can be more experimental, where you don't go over under with everyone. You can be more experimental. I don't know if you can see that there, where you see more of one picture than another. Same with here. So you can make that decision on how you do it. You don't have to weave all of it. You can weave just bits and pieces of it as well. But either way, you're going to start with your warp that's going up and down. So you need to take your first image, you're going to flip it over, and we need to make columns that are going this way. And we're going to make them that I would suggest every 1/2 inch. If you are wanting to make yours a little bit chunkier and bigger, you can go every inch. But I'm going to move this so you can see it here. But this is why the T-square is important. You want to make sure that that T-square aligns up on that edge. We're going to be right up at the top. Maybe hard to see it, but I'm going to make it just a little dash every 1/2 inch. Just making a dash every 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to take my ruler, because now these we've made columns that are going every 1/2 inch. We need to draw a line that goes all the way down. And again, this is where the T-square comes in really handy, because you want to make sure that T-square lines up with that top edge. And I'm going to come through, and I'm just going to hold that ruler firm. And everywhere those notches are, I'm going to draw a line so that these are now nice and parallel. Now again, if I wanted to be experimental, I don't have to make my lines exact. I can make some bigger, thicker. I can make them even wavy. It doesn't matter. But we're going the traditional route here. I'm going to show you the traditional route, and then if you want to experiment and do something a little bit crazier, you can. But basically, excuse me, basically you need to have strips of paper that are going up and down. Whether they're equal and perfectly symmetrical, that's up to you. But I'm going to show you the traditional way. Okay, so we'll go through, we'll draw our lines all the way down. Again, don't speed, take your time. All right, so we've got 1/2 inch columns. Before we start doing anything else with these, we do need to get a margin up at the top. So we're going to take our paper, we want to make sure we're at the top edge, okay? And I'm just going to make a mark at 1/2 inch. I'm going to keep everything 1/2 inch, just to make things easier for myself here. And I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to draw a margin, so to speak, because we're going to start cutting this thing. But we don't want to go past this margin. So we're going to take our scissors, and we're going to start cutting those lines all the way up, taking our time till we get to that top line. And you're going to do that all the way through until it looks like this. Okay? So that's our warp. And then we're going to take this warp, we're going to put it on our mat board, and we're going to take some tape, and we're just going to tape that top edge. Just holding that in place. Okay? And then we're going to, so we've got that, it's all ready to go. We're going to set that to the side. Then we're going to go to our second image, and we're going to do the same thing, but we've got to make rows instead of columns. So when we do this one, we're going to go on the side. So it's going to be opposite of whatever you just did. I'm going to keep the same measurements. So I'm going to go every 1/2 inch, making my marks. Okay, and then again, I'm going to use my T-square for that straight edge at the top, and I'm going to draw my lines all the way down. I'm going to do that all the way down, okay, until I get something that looks like this. Now you're going to notice one thing here. I have numbered these. I'm doing this just in case for some reason I get messed up and I forget where I'm at. I know which ones goes in which order, because this sheet you're going to completely cut apart. You're not going to leave that margin at the top like we did the other one, okay? So we've got our warp, and we've now got our weft ready to go. I like to start, well, you should start at the top going down. So we're going to cut that first row off. This is again why I number it first, just in case if I got ahead of myself and I cut too many strips at one time. I suggest cutting one strip at a time. We'll put that to the side. And now we're going to start weaving. If I'm going the traditional route, again, I'm going over, under, over, under. So I'm going to go under this one, over that one, under this one, over that one. So you kind of get it over, under, over, under. And going up as far as you can. Now you can move it wherever you want. You're not going to tape this down just yet. You're going to leave your weft until the end. You're not going to tape that, and then I'm going to go to my next one. And I'm going to cut that one. But this time I'm going to start opposite. So if I started under here, I'm going to start over it this time. So you're getting that checkerboard. I'm still doing over under, but I just started the next row the opposite way. And again, I'm going to slide that up. So you're starting to see how that's going to work there. Now I'm going to show you where you can be. Now if I wanted to, I could continue the whole way through the same exact way. But I'm going to start to show you where you could be a little bit more experimental. Because I'm getting to her face on this one. And I want to show more of her face. So I won't want to go exactly over under. Because I want to show her eyes here. So I'm still going to start the same way. I'm still going to start with it over this time, because I'm going to go back again. And this is where you might have to go back and undo some things. I want to let her eyes show through. Oops. It's okay. I messed up. I went the opposite way. I should have gone. Okay, but see how I'm missing her one eye? I'd be like, well, I actually want this to show through, so I'm going to back this up a little bit. And I'm going to put this one so I show more of that layer there. So hopefully you can see that there. Okay, so that's, and then I could do the same thing here. When I got to her face here, I could leave more of this one show, so that way you have the two faces that show out more than the others. And that's what they've done on this one here. So you can see more of this one is overlapping. And they did that here. They showed more of his cheek and a little bit more of his eyes here and more of her smile there. So you can do it that way, or you can, like I said, you can keep it consistent and do over under. It's just a little bit harder to see what your two images are. You can also, if you want to, like I said, you can stop and be like, well, maybe I only wanted to weave this part. I want everything else. You could stop, technically, or maybe I could come back through. I could skip all of this and come back and just weave. I'm going to jump ahead. So I'm going to say I don't want to weave any of this through here. I'm going to leave that out. I'm just leaving that there for my own planning. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. Easier to show than it is to explain. So I'm going to jump all the way down here, and then I'm going to start again down here. I'm going to make a big jump, and so I'm going to stop weaving. And you can tape if you want to. So if I say, you know, I want to make sure I don't go any further, I can tape this down now. I know I'm not going to make any changes up here. I can tape this so it holds it in place, because we will be matting these so you won't see all this ugly edge. And I can tape maybe this one so I know I don't want to go past this. This is where I'm picking up that weaving. And then continue on weaving the rest down here. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. The very last step is once you have everything woven together, and we're going to pretend that I finished weaving all the way down here, then you're going to want to make sure that any loose warp or weft, you tape all of those down nice and smooth. And then these will get matted, and if selected, will go in the art show. So you'll tape all the way around to seal. So you can see that they've done that here. You'll tape it with either the masking tape or the masking tape. It really doesn't matter. All right, have some fun, and if you finish early, you can always do a second or a third. The nice thing about these is if you are a little behind in class, you can always take these to study hall. It's a great way to sit and use up some of that study hall time, or take it home, sit on the couch next to mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, and do a little bit of weaving.